Hi everyone, I'm Peggy Yu from Stack Education, and I have a real treat for you today. I have with me Chinoso Singleton. Chinoso works in the clinical trial space, and she has years of experience working in this space. She has been a site creator and builder. She has hired clinical trial teams, so she really knows what it takes to transition into the clinical trial world. She's going to tell us all about it. Thank you so much for joining us, Chinonso. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me. It's been
Oh,
amazing working with Stack, so I'm excited to be back.
so can you tell us, what does a typical day look like for someone who is in an entry level position in clinical trials, such as a CRC?
Yeah, so this I will definitely preface with there's no typical day, and I think you've been able to guess that, Peggy. So really, it's going to come down to the pattern of your day, especially if you're a CRC. There's a lot of patient interaction and follow up because your job is not just to do the visits; it's really to manage every single patient that's in the study. So it's a lot of compliance phone calls, progress notes, working with the PI to figure out how to problem solve, because definitely things will always come out of left field. So your day is going to be derailed. So that for sure you can count on. But in terms of a normal routine, definitely patient visits, processing labs, shipping specimens, documenting in your charts, whether that's paper or electronic, and a lot of just cross communication between sponsor, CRO, PI, fellow coordinators, any site directors that you may have over you. So just kind of really working through.
So that then lends itself to the next question, which is, what do you think are the most important skills for a CRC to have, both technically as well as soft skills?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I will start with the technical parts because those are obviously more tangible and make a lot more sense when you look at the role. So being able to read a protocol and not just basically read it, but really understand it and understand what your part is by role. So me as a coordinator, what's my job, what's the patient's responsibility, what is the PI's responsibility, and how can we all ensure that this data is meaningful at the end of the day. So that's one of the biggest ones, of course. A lot of good writing is important. You need to be coherent in your charting, in your progress notes, in your communication with sponsors and CROs, of course. And then there's the other clinical parts. So taking vitals, performing EKGs, and phlebotomy. And those are skills that, if ideal, the team in-house will be able to kind of get you equipped to do those things. Otherwise, there have been coordinators that walk in with those skills before, maybe from experience as a medical assistant and things like that. So those are the technical aspects. Really, though, I just like to ignore all of that and really look at the characters. So at the end of the day, there's a very specific personality and character profile that will succeed in a CRC role. So for me, I kind of boiled it down thinking about this. How can I wrap it up for y'all very nicely? So there are four big things I wanted to talk about. So the first one is emotional intelligence. And that's one of those soft skills that's also very just crucial to success as an adult.
Yeah.
Um, but it's really important because we are in a people business. You are dealing with patients. Everybody's not going to respond the same way, not only to you as, just regular banter and conversation, but also to scolding and criticism and, hey, Mr. Jones, you should not have done that. Here's what we said last time. So it's really important to make sure that you are able to relate appropriately and successfully with every single person that you're touching, whether it's a patient or a client or an auditor, etc. The next one, of course, is critical thinking. Because like I said earlier, you're not just reading the protocol and, okay, great. On day one, we do an EKG, I give them medication and I send them on their way. You need to be able to read between the lines of the protocol. The protocol is very well written most times. It's really there to help you make sure that we're ensuring patient safety, that we are collecting the data that we need, nothing more, nothing less. But really there's a lot of subjectivity in it. And as a CRC, you have a very critical role in protecting your investigators. It's really hard to think about it sometimes, but we always tell our coordinators, you have to have the physicians back. They signed on the dotted line on the 1572 with the FDA that they're responsible for everything that happens in this trial, but they're not going to know the protocol as well as you do. So it's really, really important that we have a strong critical thinker that is the arms and legs of the trial itself. The next one is organization. It's very important, especially if you're going to be at a site that has multiple enrolling studies or just active studies in general at once. So it's very easy to drop the ball on little things like, let's say you have a big recruitment day and you have 3 patients come in, you're going to randomize them all, and then you realize, oh, I don't have the lab kits for this visit. So that's something so small, but all your hard work can really quickly be put to a halt if you're not appropriately prepared. So it's really important to be organized in thought and also in space. You know, where are your charts? Can you find what you need when you need them, etc. And then the fifth and final one I want to discuss is agility. So it's really important sometimes to say, like, because of the nature of the industry, nothing's the same, right? Day to day, patient to patient. So not only do you want to be flexible, you want to be agile. And that agility really comes with a lot more than flexibility, because with flexibility, I feel like that means, oh, I was supposed to see this patient and I'm going to see this one instead. That's a really easy jump to do. But being agile is bringing that strategic component in. So as a coordinator, you're able to move the pieces in a way that not only makes sense for right now, but for long-term ramifications. So thinking cause and effect and being able to pivot quickly, but also very strategically.
So it sounds like, this, to work in clinical trials, like you really need to be a great team player, especially having, your principal investigators back. You have to have a strong emotional intelligence foundation, which, as you said, is crucial really for any high functioning adult, right? But very much so in this role. And then also this ability, like you said, to really be agile in your thinking and having critical thinking and being able to move, because it sounds like you have a plan of how things should go, but then it evolves and it happens and you have to adjust accordingly.
Yes, absolutely. Especially with shifting priorities. Whatever was important in this moment might change once you get an email saying, hey, by the way, we need to prep for a sponsor audit. We're coming out next week. You don't have much of a choice. So it's really important to be able to be quick and strategize and
Yeah.
definitely keep priorities straight. But that's the beauty of it too, though, is like you're not doing that in a vacuum. You're not by yourself. It's a whole team. And it's very easy for people at the site to see all the external factors as against them because you're under a microscope. The monitor is coming out and looking at the work you did to tell you if you did a great job or not a great job. So if you shift your perspective and think, we're all trying to make sure that this goes to market, then it really, really goes a long way.
Okay. Awesome. 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 Now, this may naturally lead to this question, which is, what do you think? And all this is all subjective. What do you think is the best part of being a CRC? Kind of being the most junior level in the clinical trial space. What's the best part?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I personally, just because I'm a people person, the patients are the best, definitely, especially specifically in the CRC role. The bonds that you build with these people there's nothing similar to that, because it's not like your regular physician's office where they come in, the doctor sees them for 2 seconds, they spend a fraction of that time with you and they're on their way. You're spending an hour plus with these people every single appointment. So you get to know so much about them and really build yourself too in the way that you relate to others, the way you build rapport. And if you really pause, this is really the powerful part. So the most fun part is definitely the patient interaction.
That's
The
great.
most
That's great.
powerful part is contemplating the impact that
Yeah.
you will have. your patient being so attached to you and respecting you and understanding you is going to make them stay in that 56-week trial and
Mm.
finish it out to the end. And guess what? Their data is going to be included. So many great drugs lose, miss the mark and don't make it to market because they lose so much patient data. So it's really important to realize that you are the make or break for a patient participating and feeling good about that participation and seeing it through. So that is what leads to FDA approvals. That is what leads to, oh my gosh, we have a new treatment for this indication. And I was a part of that.
I love how you made that connection that for you, the most important piece and the best piece are the interpersonal relationships that are built throughout, but that it's so crucial to impact, right? To actually allowing these drugs and these medical devices to come to market so they can better people's lives. That's very powerful. Thank
Thanks.
you. All right, my last question, and this is purely about you.
Okay.
Yes, why are you passionate about the clinical trial space? Because, I mean, even in this short conversation, anyone watching can tell, I can certainly tell that this makes you come alive. Uh, yeah, right. You're so passionate about this space. So tell me why you care so much about this space and why you've chosen to put your career here in this space.
Yeah, so for me, definitely it was a discovery that I'm very, very, very thankful for. I was a STEM student, like a lot of people that are interested in any role that deals with patient interaction, the pre-med, pre-something that deals with diagnosing or treating and taking care of people. But I was never afforded the opportunity to even learn about clinical research. I stumbled into it literally randomly. I found a post on Indeed and was like, hey, what is this? Because it looks like I'd be able to actually talk with patients. So what is this role? Why have I not heard of it? So after that discovery, I've really found that it has shaped my view of medicine and everything that it takes to say that we are taking care of the world's population. So it's not just dealing with the ailments, but also all the discovery that happens before that. There are also, observational trials out there. There are so many facets. So because it's so holistic and all encompassing, that is why I get the flutters about it, taking care of the whole human. There are even trials for surgical procedures. So those are things that are really, really cool to think about. But also for my personal development, that is another reason why I have this fire in me about clinical research. It has opened up my eyes to, I like the business aspects. And, my experience with my current company has really helped me learn about myself in that sense, in strategic thinking and building something new and process implementation and improvement. And because I keep evolving, because science keeps evolving this field, there's the longevity. So that's another reason why I'm passionate about bringing this to the young, bright minds that are looking to create a career for themselves. You can go so far and there's really no bound on it. So if your dreams of science and medicine are really limited to an MD because of the earning potential, I can confidently also tell you that this field can provide you that without that debt. And still cater to your science hunger and your discovery sense and the interactions with people. So it's really putting all of my best and challenging and exciting attributes really on stage. No matter what role I step into, I have to use so many parts of myself, and that is why I'm so passionate about it.
Chinoso Singleton, we are so lucky to have you in the Stack family. Thank you today for such an inspired conversation. I know that folks who are really thinking about what's next and looking at the clinical trial space, I have no doubt that after listening to our conversation, that they will be pretty excited to make that transition. Thank you so much.
Of course, you're very welcome.